I don't lie. I don't lie. Come on, your kids. Come on, your kids. Come on, your kids. Natalie is on. Your cell is on. Everybody see Jaden? Jaden. He don't know what he's looking at. He don't know he on live. Hey, buddy. You smiling? I smile. Smile for the people, Jaden. Smile for the people. For the people. Yeah, well, I know y'all probably wondering, what is he doing with this baby in his hand? All right. Well, my wife is at a doctor's appointment, so I got Jaden with me today. All right. Don't worry, you still gonna learn it. We're on page 71, okay? On page 71. All right, today we're doing dividing fractions. All right. I'm gonna give a couple more minutes for people to come to class. This is 5.3L. This is dividing fractions. All right. So we're gonna be dividing fractions today. All right. Again, you got your book. It's on page 71. Okay. Let me see if I can fix the light. Fix the glare. I think that's a little better. Hey, to the people, Jaden. His big brother's at school. Austin's at daycare. And Jaden is here. And my wife, she's at the doctor. Anyway, I'm gonna teach. um, so the first problem says, oh, I think his mama's coming back. He's coming back. Anyway, first problem says Sue has 1/2 gallon of milk. She divides the milk equally into 5 glasses. How much milk is in each glass? Right? Well, I know it's a division problem because it starts with the total. The total milk that she had was 1/2 gallon of milk. And it says she divides the milk. It literally says divides the milk equally into 5 glasses. So that lets me know that the problem is 1/2 divided by 5. Right? So if you look at your answer choices, I know A and B are wrong because A says 10 gallons and B says 2 gallons. If I only had 1/2 gallon before I started and then I divided that into 5 cups, how can I have 10 gallons and 2 gallons? I started with a fraction, so I know my answer has to be a fraction. So I know this is going to be a fraction, right? Now, in my class, I want to remind you of keep, change, flip. You keep the total the same, you change division to multiplication, and you flip 5 upside down and it becomes 1/5. Right? Now you can multiply. 1 times 1 is 1, and 2 times 5 is 10. So the answer is 1/10. Right? Any questions about number 1? Right? Say hi to the people.
Hi, people.
All right.
I'm taking his assistant here.
See you later, Jamie. Go, mama. The one about I gave him. It was an hour for 2 minutes.
Thank you.
All right. So at least y'all got to see the baby. All right. Good. The answer is D. Good, Natalie. All right. Now, number 2. All right. Y'all ready? Again, this is called keep, change, flip. All right. Now, you're getting ready for middle school. So let me tell you the real name. The real name of it is multiplying the inverse, right? Inverse means opposite. So you're going to be multiplying the opposite. That's exactly what you did. This is a division problem. So when I changed it to multiply, I had to multiply the opposite. So instead of 5/1, I had to multiply 1/5. Right? So in middle school, it's going to be called multiply the inverse. Inverse. Inverse means opposite. All right. Now, I keep the total the same. So the first number in the division problem is the total. You're going to keep the total the same. You're just going to change how you divide it up. Instead of dividing it the regular way, you're going to multiply the opposite way, because multiplication is the opposite of division. So if I change the multiplication, I'm going to have to change what I'm supposed to be divided by. I'm going to do the opposite of that too. All right. So I keep 1/2 the same. I divide, changing it to multiplication, and then 5 is the same thing as 5/1. So I flip that upside down and becomes 1/5. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 5 is 10. All right, 1/10. Any questions about number 1? You can type them in now. If you have no questions, give me the symbol, the circle with the line drawn. All right, Yacel is good. Natalie's good. Yaelin is good. Miguelito is good. Michael's good. Okay. All right, Andrew is good. Okay, cool. All right, I'm going to keep this up here. This is going to remind you. Keep, change, flip. All right, keep the total the same, change division to multiplication, and flip the second number upside down. All right. Now, number 2 says Jim has 1/4 pound of ground beef. He wants to split the ground beef equally between 2 people. How many pounds of ground beef should each person get? All right. Now, when you read these problems, you don't automatically assume that the first number is the total. You ask yourself, what am I talking about here? Well, in this case, you're talking about ground beef. That's the subject of the problem, right? That's the object that you're talking about. You're talking about ground beef. So then you ask yourself, since division problems take a total and separate it into groups, what is the total amount of ground beef that I had when I first started? Then you go back in the question and it says that Jim has 1/4 pound of ground beef. So the total that he had before he starts separating it into groups, he had 1/4 pound. All right. Now you ask yourself, how did he separate it into groups? He said he wanted to split the ground beef equally between two people. So that means he wanted to take that 1/4 of pound and divide it by two people. All right. Now, how many pounds of ground beef should each person receive? Well, what I know is that my answer is going to be a fraction because the total I had before I started splitting stuff up was a fraction. And if I'm going to take a fraction and split it up by two, how am I going to have a whole number answer? It's not possible. So I know the answer is not C, and I know the answer is not D as in dog. It's not possible because you didn't have a whole number to begin with. You started off with a fraction, and then you split that up. Right? So now that I know it's not a whole number answer, it has to be a fraction, I'm going to do keep, change, flip. I'm going to keep the total of ground beef the same. That total is 1/4. What needs to be split needs to stay the same. 1/4 needs to stay the same. I'm going to keep that the same. But I'm going to change how I do it. I'm going to change division to multiplication. And now that I've got the opposite operation, I need to do the opposite of the second number. Right? Two wholes. Well, the opposite of having two wholes is to take one and chop it into two pieces. So the opposite of 2/1 is 1/2. That's the opposite. Now you multiply 1 times 1 equals 1. 4 times 2 equals 8. That's just 1/8. All right? Hey. All right? Now, for some of you visual people, let me show it to you in pictures. If I have 1/4, that means I have one bar and I partition it into 4 pieces. Right? So I'm worried about this bar right here, this 1/4 bar. Now I'm going to divide that by 2. 1/4 divided by 2. All right? I split it in half. That creates 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces. And I'm interested in one of the pieces. That's 1/8. All right? This is the picture version of this. All right? Any questions about number 2? If you have any questions about number 2, you can type them in. If not, for number 2, give me a thumbs up if you're ready to go. All right, we good? All right. Number 3. Brian wants to give 1/3 pound of unpopped popcorn to each of his classmates, right? For some reason. I don't know why he's doing it, but he want to give 1/3 of a pound of unpopped popcorn, so just the seed. to each of his classmates. If he has 7 pounds of popcorn, then how many classmates can receive 1/3 pound of popcorn? All right. So let me read it again. Brian wants to give 1/3 pound of unpopped popcorn to each of his classmates. So he wants each of them to get 1/3. If he has 7 pounds of popcorn, then how many classmates will receive 1/3 pound of popcorn? So this problem was written backwards. See, if you thought that the first number is the total, you probably would think that 1/3 is the total. But 1/3 is not the total. Ask yourself, what's the total amount of pounds of popcorn? Because that's what we're talking about. So since we're talking about popcorn, what's the total amount he had? Well, he had 7 pounds. He had a total of 7 pounds. Now, the groups that he separated into depends on the classmates, and each classmate got 1/3 of a pound. So you took 7 pounds and you partitioned them into third pounds, and you gave them to a classmate. You get 1/3. You get 1/3. You get 1/3. So this is 7 wholes divided into 1/3 groups. All right. It's not 1/3 divided by 7. It's 7 divided by 1/3. Because 7 is the total amount of popcorn. Right? Now, you also know it's 7 because all the answer choices are whole numbers. And if you ended in a whole number answer, that means the total that you started with had to be a whole number. Right? Now, I'm going to keep the total the same at 7. I'm going to change division into multiplication. And I'm going to flip 1/3 upside down. I'm going to take the opposite. That means I'm going to have 3/1. And 7 times 3 is 21/1, which is the same thing as 21. All right? Which means the answer is C. Again, whether you start with the whole number or whether you start with the fraction, it still keep the first number the same, change division to multiplication, and flip the divisor, the second number, upside down. All right? The only difference is sometimes the problem is going to give you a total that's a whole number, and sometimes the problem is going to give you a total that's a fraction. So as long as you can read and understand the problem and ask yourself, what is the problem talking about? And how much of that does the problem have total? That'll determine what number goes first. Right? Type in the letter M if you want to move on. All right, let me see who's paying attention. If you're ready to move on to the next problem, type in the letter M. All right, your cell's good. Natalie's good. Michael's good. Miguelito's good. Yalin's good. All right. All right. Last problem. Travis measures the height of a flower in his yard every month. The flower has grown 1/3 inch each month for a total of 4 inches. Well, how many months has Travis been measuring the height of the flower? All right. Now, again, you ask yourself, what are we talking about here? And you're going to say, I'm talking about the height of a flower. Right? So now you say, okay, since I'm talking about the height of a flower, what's the total height of the flower? So if you go back to the problem, it says the flower grows 1/3 inch each month. That's not the total. That's how much it goes each month for a total of 4 inches. So since we're talking about the height of a flower, you ask yourself, what's the total height? Well, the total height is 4 inches. And division problems start with the total, and then you separate the total into equal groups. So I'm going to start with the total of 4 inches. And I'm going to divide it. I'm going to separate it into groups. And because we're talking about the height of this flower over time, the groups is how many months or how much you did each month. So now you can go back to the problem, and it says the flower has grown 1/3 an inch each month. So I'm going to take the total of 4 inches and I'm going to divide it by 1/3 each month. And what that's going to do is, this is going to tell me the number of months I've been growing, because this is 1/3 each month. Right? Hey, Mr. Newbie, what's going on? Now, your cell says C. Good, your cell. That is the answer. If you notice that none of the answer choices are fractions, and that's because you started with a whole number. If I start with a whole number, I'm probably going to end in a whole number too. Right? Now, keep the total the same. Keep the total at 4. Change division into multiplication. Flip 1/3 upside down, and it becomes 3/1. Then you can multiply. 4 times 3 equals 12/1. And anything over 1 is itself. So 12/1 is the same thing as 12. Right? Which is letter C. All right? Preguntas, niños and niñas. Any questions, little boys or girls? All right, your cell is good. Natalie's good. Michael's good. Did you guys do your homework yesterday? I gave you some homework yesterday. I know you thought I forgot. What's up, Juana? All right, yesterday I told you to Google reparations. REPARATIONS. I told you to Google reparations. Now, what I want you to do is, if you did your homework, I want you to type in what you think reparations is. Do that now. I want you to type in what is reparations. I want you to give me the definition. All right, I got yourselves answer. Anybody else? The making of amends for wrong one has done by paying money or otherwise helping those who have been wrong. Good, Natalie. War damage paid by the defeated state. Good. Okay. Yourself did hers. Natalie did hers. Anybody else? I know Andrea gave me hers because she sent it to me on Instagram. Anybody else? Miguelito, Michael, Galen, did you Google reparations? Juana says to repair something that is wrong or damaged. Good. Good, Juana. Ah, Andrea. Hi. Money owed because of slavery. Yes. Sí, señorita. So, you're saying, Mr. T, why you have us look up this word reparation? I had you look up this word reparations because black people are owed reparations. Miguelito said reparation is money paid for an item broken in the store. Good. Yeah, something's broken, right? And you got to pay for it. You did something wrong, so you got to make it right. Well, guess what, kids? Michael says the making for a wrong one has done by paying money to or otherwise helping those who have been wrong. Hey, kids, guess what? Black people are owed reparations from this country because of slavery, right? Because when the Constitution changed and they made slavery illegal, like you can't own slavery, you can't own slaves and all of that, well, you got to go back and make reparations now because you did something wrong, right? All of y'all said you got to actually do something for people because you did them wrong. One of y'all said they broke something and you have to basically pay for what you did. Yeah, you broke us as a people. So this country owes black people reparations and they don't want to give us reparations for slavery. So one of the arguments, another one of the reasons why we are so mad is because they supposed to pay us money because they had our relatives in slavery and they have not paid us no money. But guess what, kids? Other people who were enslaved got paid already. Jewish people got paid. The Jewish people got paid. The Indian people got paid. The Japanese people got paid. But nothing for black people. Right? All of these other people, the Jewish people had the Holocaust. The Holocaust is when people in Germany, they had a real bad leader named Adolf Hitler. And he took Jewish people hostage and he killed a lot of Jewish people because he didn't like Jewish people. Guess what? Jewish people in America got paid reparations, and this didn't even happen in America. It happened in Germany, right? and they still paid Jewish people money because bad stuff that happened to them. The Indian people, when the settlers came to America, they killed the Indians and took their land. And guess what? Jewish people got reparations because they did the Indian people wrong when the people came to America. The Japanese people and Pearl Harbor and when we went to World War II and we have all these wars and they did the Japanese people wrong. Guess what? The Japanese people got reparations because of what happened in World War II. But guess who was enslaved 400 years? 400 years of slavery. And they still have not given us anything. No reparations. Right? No money paid because of what you did wrong to us. But this was not 400 years. This was not 400 years. This was not 400 years. Slavery lasted 400 years. And we still haven't got nothing. So if you're wondering, well, why was black people so mad? Why was they so mad? Not only were we mad at the police because they keep killing us, and when they taking regular people to jail, but they killing us like they can't bring us to jail. Okay. We're also mad because you have not made up for what you did in slavery. You made our ancestors enslaved. You have not gave us no reparations, but everybody else got reparations. Right? Let me show you something, then we'll be done. Let me show you something that's on my wall. You see this right here? If you look closely, this is a $100 bill from 1865. Right? This is a $100 bill from 1865. And if you look close to it, you can see slaves on the bill. These are slaves. These are slaves on the bill. On a $100 bill, these are slaves right on the bill. You see that? Confederate States of America. Right? Now, you ask yourself, hey, yeah, Mr. Traham, I heard that they're tearing down those statues. Yeah, those are Confederate statues. Confederate people have a lot of slaves. So they're tearing down those statues because those were people who had slaves, who are holding us slaves. So here's the thing. Now you see why. Oh, why are black people so mad? We're not mad for no reason. I know some of y'all walking around thinking, I don't understand why they're so mad. Oh, it's a reason why we mad. You see what I'm saying? So I just wanted you to learn the word reparations. Right? Jews, like I said, Jews got reparations. Indians got reparations. Japanese got reparations. All of these people got reparations. And you wonder, why are those people so much richer than black people? Why do they have more money than black people? It's because their people got paid reparations for when they got done wrong. If they were to pay black people reparations, you wouldn't see, you would be like, man, black people starting to have a lot of money now. Yeah, because they owe us money for reparations. All right. Any questions? No questions? All right. So the last thing I'm gonna say is, hey man, if you do something wrong to somebody, make sure you give them reparations. Make sure you pay them back. Make sure you do stuff to try to make it right. Right? If you do something wrong, you need to go back and make reparations. The word reparations, part of the word reparations is repair. To repair something. That means fix something that's broken, like one of y'all said. Yeah, they broke us as a people. Y'all beat us, enslaved, y'all killed us, y'all did all of that, y'all raped our women, did all of that, but you don't want to repair us. Yeah, and you wondering why we're messed up and why we're mean and why do black people do this? Because they've done our people like that for 400 years. All right. But anyway, I know y'all don't learn a lot of history like you need to learn in school, but you'll learn some in middle school, like at least what they want to teach you in middle school. But I just want you to learn some things. So I'll come back next week with some more words so you can look up. Okay. All right. I love y'all. I will see you Monday at 11. Okay. Remember, there's no summer school on Friday. So I will see y'all Monday at 11. All right. I love y'all. Peace.